PT. PT stands for Playable Teaser, and it is a psychological horror game developed by Kojima Productions under the 7780 studio and published by Konami. It was directed and designed by Hideo Kojima, released for the PlayStation 4 on August 12, 2014, as a free download on the PlayStation Network. PT served as an interactive teaser for the game Silent Hills, an installment in the Silent Hills series. After the cancellation of Silent Hills, Konami removed PT from the PlayStation Store. It made it impossible to reinstall. The decision prompted criticism of fans' efforts to allow PT to be re-downloaded. In fan remakes, PT received acclaim for its direction, visuals, and visual storytelling in its supernatural horror, while its puzzles drew mixed responses. Unlike the third-person perspective in Silent Hill games, PT uses a first-person perspective which centers on an unknown protagonist controlled by the player who awakens in a haunted suburban house and experiences supernatural occurrences. Available areas to explore in the house consists of L-shaped corridor of 2 rooms, ascended to a bathroom, and a staircase which leads to a room in which the player starts a loop or continuous reincarnation of the corridor. The only actions the players can use are walking and zooming. To progress, the player must investigate frightening events and solve cryptic puzzles. Each time a loop is successfully completed, changes appears in the corridor. Additionally, the player encounters a hostile ghost named Lisa. If she catches the protagonist, the player has a random chance of triggering a jump scare, when turning the camera horizontally, and is sent back to the beginning of the current loop.
Rule of Rose. A PS2 hidden gem, and for horror fans, one of the most infamous games in its library. So controversial in its day, albeit through a lot of slander and misinformation, this game was actually banned from a couple countries, and almost received an AO rating when it came over to the States. It follows the story of a woman named Jennifer, as we unravel her past trauma and see the horrible events inflicted on her and that she had to experience. This game tackles a myriad of dark themes, ranging from the abuse of power over children to what grief and loss can do to a person, as well as what happens when people are corrupted by jealousy and anger, the lines they draw for each other, and the things people will do to keep their place in a system, even if they don't understand it. Throughout the game, Jennifer is accompanied by her faithful dog, Brown, who may I say is one of gaming's best doggo friends. He'll help her find clues and things to unravel the mystery of the circumstance she finds herself in, and is a shining light in this sea of darkness, trauma, and repressed experiences. As Jennifer unravels the truth of her past and the events she's been through, we only dive deeper into the horrifying secrets this game has for us.
Wick is a survival horror game where ghost stories are brought to life. Explore a local legend about the long-lost children in the woods who can still be seen, but only by those who dare to enter alone by candlelight. Deep in the darkness, you sense you're not alone, but will you live to tell the story? Navigate the darkness by candlelight, but be sure to keep the track of the candles you find. You'll need to stand a light to keep your fear at bay, and there is plenty to be scared of. You'll soon discover you're not alone. Come face to face with a variety of enemies, then learn what it takes to evade each one, or die trying.
Haunting Ground. Starting life as Clock Tower 4, Haunting Ground, or Demento in Japan, is one of Capcom's many forays into the survival horror genre, combining elements of both its original intended series of Clock Tower, as well as elements from GameCube's success, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, and even elements of Capcom's flagship horror franchise, Resident Evil. Haunting Ground follows the story of Fiona, as she's trapped in a castle that she apparently has inherited, but is in no way in command of. Throughout the game, you'll have to navigate your way throughout this castle, hiding from creatures and from those who would wish to do you harm. Along the way, you will have one companion, however, your faithful doggo friend, Huey, who, by the way, fun fact, if you manage to build up enough good fortune with, will actually give you a high five. And for Capcom aficionados, you may recognize this doggo friend from another Capcom horror juggernaut, which actually released the same year. Unfortunately, I can't delve into specifics on the themes this game explores, as they would be giving away far too much. But just know that this is one of the best experiences for horror you can get on the PS2, and desperately is in need of a remaster. Looking at you, Capcom. I want more than just a costume in Street Fighter.
Tormented Souls. Tormented Souls is a survival horror game developed by Dual Effect and Abstract Digital and published by PewCube Limited. The game draws inspiration from classic survival horror like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Alone in the Dark. While investigating the disappearance of twin girls at Winter Lake, something terrible happens to Coraline Walker. Walking in the dead of night, naked and hooked up to some kind of outdated medical equipment in a bathtub, Coraline must fight for her life as she explores the halls of an abandoned mansion.
Thrill kill. Come on, you really expected Emily Alucard to be involved in a video game list and not mention either a fighting game or a character action game? Anyway, more on to the subject. Thrill Kill is a 4-person fighting game similar to the likes of such classics as Wu-Tang Shaolin Style and Biofreaks, and, some other game called Power Stone. The game was scheduled originally for release on Sony's PlayStation 1, but was ultimately cancelled, despite the game already being completed and ready to go, for, believe it or not, potentially being something that could slander the good name of Electronic Arts. Look at how times have changed. Thrill Kill contains a myriad cast of disturbing characters, from the sadistic and murderous to the kinky and, adventurous. The premise is rather simple and straightforward. You take up the role of one of a number of characters, and you fight to the death in the bowels of hell, for a shot at one more chance up here with the living. Despite the fact that some of the character models look like Barbie and Ken dolls, some of these endings can get pretty disturbing and rather violent, and the gore for its time was definitely not for the queasy. In the place of a traditional life bar, characters instead were given a kill meter. Once this meter was filled, you could perform a rather violent and gruesome execution on a foe of your choice, removing them from the round and condemning their soul back to the bowels of hell where it belongs. You may be asking, if this video game was cancelled, why is it included in a disturbing games list? Well, simply put, the game was fully completed upon its cancellation, and some developers, a bit upset that all their work was being thrown away, to support probably one of the 3 worst companies in the history of video games, ended up releasing the entire game online for free for us gamers. If you can get a murder of ghoul friends together, it can be quite a fun gore fest.
Fear. The original game is set in the city of Fairport in 2025 and follows a fictional Fear first encounter assault recon unit, an elite group in the United States Army tasked with investigating supernatural phenomena as they probe the private military company's secret research program, which has resulted in the unintended release of a dangerous and powerful psychic. The player takes on the role of the unit's newest recruit, Point Man, as he faces down not only the psychic but so too a lethal and unpredictable paranormal menace in the form of a young girl, Alma Wade. Project Origin is set immediately after the conclusion of the first game and follows Sergeant Michael Beckett of Delta Force, who awakens in a strange hospital only to find that Alma, now free from her confinements, has been taken a keen interest in him. Fear 3 takes place 9 months after the conclusion of Project Origin. Alma's pregnancy is nearing its end, and when a resurrected Paxton Fiddle The sidekick from the first game rescues Point Man from captivity. The two head back to Fairport with Point Man determined to prevent Alma from giving birth. Fatale, however, has an entirely different motive.
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream follows the tale of the last 5 humans on planet Earth as they're put through torturous games by the supercomputer Am, the creation of a battle that destroyed the entirety of the human population on Earth. Each of these protagonists have sins that they must confront and demons to overcome if they ever hope to escape this nightmare and to overcome and defeat Am. This is no easy task and may not even be possible. For more than just the computer's intelligence, to get what's widely considered the good ending, for more than simply the immense intelligence of the AI, to get what is seen as the best outcome of the game is notoriously hard and requires perfect execution. This one has gained quite a reputation over the years, and I remember back in the day being really spooked hearing people talk about it when I was younger, and very interested to play it. I highly recommend it if you can get yourself a copy.
The House of Alas. The game takes place during the 1980s in a centuries-old house in a secluded town. Over the years, the property has been occupied by dozens of families. While some lived peacefully, others were brutally murdered under various circumstances. As Dwayne Anderson, the protagonist, proceeds through the environment of the house, he gathers information regarding the killings firsthand, using it to piece together the history of the house, while also evading the restless spirits that try to kill him.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Lovecraftian horror in video game form, oddly enough not one of the dozen Call of Cthulhu games. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem follows the story of Alexandria as she dives deep into a world of eldritch horrors, discovering hidden truths of history, as well as the details surrounding the death of her grandfather, and what role she may have to play in order to save not just herself, but the world at large, a story spanning multiple eldritch entities. I'm sorry if these details are rather vague, but this is definitely a game you should play and experience for yourself, whether that be on the OG hardware or through emulation if that is a possibility. That being said, I will discuss one thing that this game has come to be known for, even amongst non-horror gamer fans. The effects of this range from your controls being reversed, your character appearing headless, and even the game simulating a deletion of your save data and a complete crash. Neither Alexandria nor you the player are safe from the reach of the influence of insanity.